Insomnia at age 60 isn't as harmless as you might think. You may be sitting there right now, nodding along with the idea that once people hit their 60s, sleep naturally becomes fragmented, shorter, and interrupted by the smallest sound, or even for no clear reason at all. It's just inevitable, the unwanted side effect of aging. Around you, friends, family, and neighbors in that age group often complain the same way. At this age, why sleep so much? Less sleep means you're healthier. They shrug it off, pop a sleeping pill, try herbal tea, change their pillows, and accept it like they accept gray hair or wrinkles. Society reinforces this too, through media, books, and even advice from older adults, that the body slows down, hormones shift, melatonin decreases, and the circadian rhythm changes. Insomnia becomes an unchangeable rule. You might think it's no big deal, something you can just live with or catch up on later. But that common belief is blinding you to a harsher reality I've observed through decades of working with data and people. Insomnia in your 60s isn't what you think it is. It's not a harmless phenomenon, not simply a sign of natural decline, and definitely not something you should accept as normal without questioning it. Picture a 62-year-old woman in Hanoi. She still wakes up early to go to the market, takes care of her grandchildren, and spends evenings watching TV with her husband. But the moment the lights go out, the battle begins. She lies there wide awake, her mind racing with worries about family, health, and past memories. In the morning, she's exhausted, irritable for no reason, and her memory feels foggy. She comforts herself. Well, I'm getting older. Millions of others across the country, from rural villages to big cities, are living exactly like this. They believe this is the golden years, a time when the body needs less sleep, and they carry on as if nothing's wrong. But this blind acceptance is creating a silent spiral. When people dismiss insomnia as not great, but no big deal, they're missing how it infiltrates every cell, every heartbeat, and every thought. It goes beyond just not sleeping enough. It changes how your body handles stress, how your brain clears waste at night, how hormones stay balanced, and even how you interact with loved ones. Scaled up, an entire generation is quietly suffering what they believe is unchangeable. What troubles me most is the gap between popular belief and what your body is actually trying to tell you. People assume insomnia at 60 comes purely from aging, aching joints, heart issues, or mild depression, and they cover it up with medication. They believe if there's no obvious disease, just let it happen. But from long-term observations, I've seen that this belief reverses the logic. In some ancient communities living close to Earth's natural rhythms, older people rarely complain about chronic insomnia like we do today. They sleep less, but differently, lighter and more alert, as if their bodies are in watch mode for the group. In contrast, our modern world, with 24-hour artificial light, glowing phone screens late into the night, irregular schedules, and urban stress, turns this into a burden. Why does the 60-year-old body react so strongly here, while it behaves differently elsewhere? You call it old age, but it may actually be a signal of a mismatch between our evolved genes and the modern world we live in. The more I dig in, the more questions arise. If insomnia isn't just the simple tragedy of decline everyone imagines, why is it so common that nearly everyone accepts it? Why do some 60-year-olds sleep soundly like they did in their youth, while others struggle? Why does medicine sometimes feel powerless? And why do many who accept it feel healthier than those desperately trying treatments? The belief that insomnia at 60 is no big deal keeps us at the surface, blind to the deeper story. It doesn't just ruin one night's rest. It creeps into memory, mood, your body's ability to recover from illness, and even family relationships when grandparents snap irritably from lack of sleep. by continuing to think, it's not great, but I have to deal with it. You're unintentionally maintaining a cycle your body may not want you to keep. I've seen countless cases, from busy city professionals to those in quieter communities, falling into the same mental trap. They say it starts at 60, as if an automatic switch flips in the body. But this collective agreement makes me question the biggest thing. If insomnia isn't good in the sense of accepting it as normal, what is it really trying to tell us? Why does it happen precisely at this age threshold? If we cling to old beliefs, we'll never reach the real answers. That curiosity is the opening I want you to hold on to right now. Because if insomnia at 60 isn't what you think, perhaps its deeper reasons aren't simple either. And when you start doubting that obvious assumption, a much larger picture begins to emerge. As a health expert with over 3 decades of clinical research, longitudinal data from major global cohorts, and field observations, I've seen the statistics on insomnia at 60 appear as a living paradox, full of contradictions that popular beliefs obscure. The scientific data keeps shattering what we take for granted, revealing a disconnect between measurable reality and how people interpret it. Let's start with the numbers I often reference. Large meta-analyses, including data from the established populations for epidemiologic studies of the elderly, EPESI, with over 9,000 older adults, show that about 43% report difficulty falling or staying asleep, rising to 46 to 50% in the 65 to 84 age group. A 2003 National Sleep Foundation survey found 46% of Americans aged 65 to 74 experience insomnia symptoms, jumping to 50% for those 75 to 84. Similar patterns appear worldwide, yet researchers repeatedly emphasize in study after study, insomnia is not a normal part of aging. That's the first contradiction. If it's so common, why does science insist it's not an unavoidable biological rule? Looking deeper, longitudinal studies over 8 to 10 years reveal that average sleep time in older adults doesn't drop as dramatically as we assume. The real need remains 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep, similar to younger adults. Sleep in your 60s becomes highly fragmented. Deep, slow-wave sleep decreases significantly. Nighttime awakenings increase, and sleep efficiency often drops to 70 to 80%, compared to 90% in younger people. This isn't primarily because aging naturally lowers melatonin, as many believe, but is often amplified by measurable modern factors like circadian shifts, exaggerated by artificial light, and irregular lifestyles. The consequences are even more concerning. Data from large cohorts link chronic insomnia at 60 to a 1.3 to 1.5 times higher risk of cognitive decline, cardiovascular issues, and mortality, not always directly, but indirectly through the brain's failure to clear beta amyloid at night, disrupted stress hormones, and chronic inflammation. Meanwhile, society treats it as normal. In clinical practice, older adults complain about sleep, but rarely get thorough evaluations, often dismissed as just aging, or given sedatives without addressing root causes. When we compare groups, the picture sharpens. Older adults in environments with less artificial light and urban stress have far less fragmented sleep. Among healthy seniors without comorbidities, only about 36% report issues, much lower than average. These numbers tell a different story than daily assumptions. They aren't proof of inevitable decline, but signals of mismatch between our bodies and the environments we've created. All this data flips the popular logic upside down. People see insomnia at 60 as a minor price to pay, but science shows it's alarmingly common, deeply affecting brain, heart, and lifespan, yet not a biological destiny. The high natural remission rates and differences between populations make me question how we understand and accept this. These misconceptions are making things worse than the data suggests. The popular beliefs about insomnia at 60 are sustained by a subtle system of misunderstandings that worsen the situation. The most common one is insomnia is just a natural part of getting old. People say things like, at this age, sleeping less is normal, or your body doesn't need as much sleep anymore, treating it like gray hair or creaky joints. They comfort themselves with, I'm in my golden years. Why sleep so much? But this belief wrongly turns a potential signal of desynchronization into an unchangeable fate. It stops people from examining adjustable factors. Another misconception is that sleeping less keeps older people sharper, or sleeping a lot is lazy. Many proudly claim they only need 4 or 5 hours, using wakeful nights to think about family or memories. Yet during the day, they're exhausted, irritable with grandchildren, and foggy-minded, blaming it on age. This creates a vicious cycle. Families reinforce it too. Mom and dad are older now. Insomnia is normal. Many also believe it's simply melatonin decreasing with age, or natural hormone changes, so they just take pills. This oversimplifies dangerously, ignoring screens, chronic stress, long naps, pollution, and lifestyle shifts. The result? Years of fragmented sleep without questioning why the body reacts this way at exactly this age. The consequences are silent, but severe. People delay proper medical evaluation, suffering for years before discovering underlying issues like sleep apnea, undiagnosed depression, circadian disruption from light, or heart problems. This creates a domino effect. Daytime fatigue leads to less activity, weight gain, higher fall risk, anxiety, and family burden, all starting from what they thought was just insomnia. Science clearly links chronic insomnia to increased risks of dementia, heart disease, and shorter lifespan through indirect paths. Yet society downplays it. This mismatch creates a generation suffering unnecessarily due to wrong beliefs. The real question becomes, if these assumptions are so off, what is your body actually trying to communicate? When we look past these misconceptions, the biological mechanisms at age 60 reveal a complex network, not simple decline. At the center is your circadian rhythm, orchestrated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, in the hypothalamus. At 60, it still works, but gets slightly out of sync with modern light exposure. Melatonin, the hormone signaling time to rest, peaks lower not just from age, but heavily from blue light of phones and city lights. Stress hormones play a key role too. Cortisol, which should be low at night, often stays elevated due to low-grade chronic inflammation, inflammaging. This suppresses calming GABA in the brain, keeping you alert and easily awakened. The glymphatic system, your brain's waste-clearing mechanism that works best during deep sleep, slows by 20 to 30%, allowing toxins like beta-amyloid to build up. The autonomic nervous system shifts toward sympathetic fight-or-flight dominance. Inflammation markers like IL-6 rise, altering sleep thresholds. These layers interact. Misaligned circadian rhythms reduce melatonin. High nighttime cortisol weakens deep sleep. Poor waste clearance makes sleep harder, and inflammation amplifies everything. Modern factors, artificial light, urban stress, irregular habits, exaggerate this network. It's not broken machinery, but a system trying to adapt, sometimes in unwanted ways. Taking an even wider view from evolutionary anthropology, this isn't a random biological error, but part of a sophisticated evolutionary strategy distorted by modern life. Studies on hunter-gatherer tribes like the Hadza in Tanzania show that older adults sleep less, but in a segmented pattern. Lighter, more alert sleep with natural awakenings. This wasn't insomnia in the negative sense. It was a survival mechanism, Elders acted as night watchmen, protecting the group with their experience, while younger people slept deeply. Our ancestors lived in environments with strong daylight and truly dark nights. No screens or all-night lights. Sleep was often biphasic. First sleep after sunset, a quiet, wakeful period for reflection or vigilance. Then second sleep. In traditional settings without electricity, similar patterns existed. But our modern environment, constant artificial light suppressing melatonin tenfold compared to campfire light, chronic stress keeping cortisol high, and schedules ignoring natural rhythms, has twisted this evolutionary advantage into a pathology. The 60-year-old body isn't failing at aging. It's running ancient programming on incompatible modern hardware. Our genes expect natural light cycles, physical activity, and low chronic stress. The mismatch, which happened rapidly in just the last 150 years, explains why insomnia feels so burdensome today. This brings us to the scientific paradoxes that challenge everything. Data shows high prevalence, nearly 50%, yet experts insist insomnia is not normal aging. In very healthy seniors without other conditions, rates drop dramatically. New cases appear at 5% per year, but up to 50% resolve naturally. Subjective complaints are often worse than objective measurements from sleep studies. There's a U-shaped curve where both too little and too much sleep link to higher mortality risks. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, works far better long-term than pills, yet medications are still widely prescribed. These contradictions aren't flaws in the data. They point to a deeper truth. After examining all these layers, from beliefs, biology, and evolution to scientific tensions, a subtle but profound insight emerges. Insomnia at age 60 is real and important, but not in the way we've been taught. It isn't primarily a sign of decline to fight or accept blindly. It's often a modern distortion of segmented sleep, an evolutionary pattern built into our genes. In ancestral environments, 60-year-olds didn't aim for one solid 8-hour block. They had deep early sleep, natural awakenings for vigilance and reflection, then more sleep before dawn. This kept the group safe. Your 60-year-old body still carries that programming. The awakenings aren't failure. They can be protective if understood correctly. The problem is we're forcing an ancient segmented system into a modern one-block expectation. Instead of fighting it with heavy sedatives, the smarter approach for many is to optimize the environment. Dim lights early, reduce blue light, maintain cooler temperatures at night, and use wakeful periods productively for quiet reflection or light meditation rather than worry. Those who adapt this way often maintain better brain clearance, emotional processing, and overall health. The biggest mistake is trying to make a 60-year-old brain sleep like a 30-year-old's. Your body at this age may benefit from this lighter, more vigilant sleep pattern for cognitive flexibility and transition in life stages. What we call poor sleep might actually serve different quality standards, evolutionary ones. In the end, insomnia at 60 isn't trivial. It's a significant part of human biology, but only when we allow it to function as intended. Your body isn't wrong. Our interpretation and environment often are. When we realign with these deeper signals, instead of fighting them, many of the contradictions resolve. It becomes not a tragedy, but an invitation to live in better harmony with our ancient biology in a modern world. By questioning what you've always assumed, you open the door to real solutions and better years ahead.